Oh, gentlemen, relax. We're looking for a few good men. And we'd like to offer you the opportunity to be all that you can be. Now, we've all suffered loss at the hands of the Punisher. And because we don't look like everybody else, and because we don't act like everybody else, nobody does a goddamn thing about it. Well, I say, he ain't the only one can take the law into his own hands. So if you're as sick of this cocksucker as I am, raise your armies. You'll be well paid. You'll be well armed. And at the end of it, the Punisher will be dead!
In a world overrun with podcasts, comes yet another underground, independent, amateur, completely irrelevant, perhaps kind of shitty, action movie podcast. Hosted by a couple of zeros? Potty Humor brings to you two men, two beards, one podcast that puts the FU in Kung Fu.
All right.
Yeah.
The hard and hard sci-fi.
Right on.
Clever.
Boom and shoot 'em up.
What?
That's bad
The
news.
two in gratuitous violence.
Well, that's kind of reaching.
Okay.
They are the last action zeros.
This is it, the end, the third and final Punisher in the trilogy of all the movies with the exact same plot, and yet all very awesome. And I would watch them all again within the next couple months, easily. All three of them. All three of the Punisher movies that have basically the exact same plot.
They're all the same, but they're also all very different movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, same basic plot. They don't have the exact same plot.
Right.
But they have the same basic plot. You know, basic revenge flick. I mean, it's a universal plot.
Anti-hero goes after the mafia, basically, all three of them. But then how, well, the why is basically the same, but the how is different. That's the thing.
Yes, the how is always different.
Yeah. So at this point, we know the Punisher, family gets killed by mafia, Punisher kill all mafia. And that's basically where this movie begins, with one of the most epic scenes ever of the Punisher just slaughtering a room full of mostly old mafia people.
Oh, yeah. He jumps right in, and then just the iconic entrance that he has where the lights go out and all you see is the skull. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic scene. I mean, my God. And it's right out of the pages of the classic Garth Ennis Punisher Max run. That whole scene is. And just from where he lops off the grandpa's head, breaks the grandma's neck.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking stabs the other guy in the head with a chair. And then hangs upside down from the chandelier while shooting an Uzi in a circle. It's all just fucking amazing.
Yeah. And when he breaks the grandma's neck, you can't miss that he also breaks another grandma's neck with his feet. There's dual grandma neck breakage. I have to admit, this is the second time that I've watched this movie in the last, month and a half or so. So, it was real fresh.
Same here, but
yeah.
I just feel like this overall is a movie that just gets me. This movie knows what I like, and it delivered in that regard.
It's like such a good Punisher movie as far as remaining true to the source material. It's like the most true to the source material comic book movie of all time, I think.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, we talked about in the other movies the variations that they took with the source material, where in the Dolph Lundgren movie, the family was killed in a car bomb. There's a little twist on the origin, and then in the Tom Jane movie, of course, they killed all of his family, his in-laws included. Mm-hmm. And then in this one, it's actually the straight-up original Marvel comic scene, Central Park. They witnessed the mob execution.
Yeah.
They killed the whole family.
They featured by flashback in this movie. They didn't do the whole origin, which only the Thomas Jane version, showed really covered the origin. The rest of them basically by flashback.
This one kind of went back to how the original 80s one was, where he's already the Punisher, he's already punishing, and then it just, glances, oh, this is why he's doing it,
He's already compiled a crazy kill count.
Right. Yeah,
so...
Dan mentioned the chair. I think the chair is probably my favorite.
The chair to the eye? Chair to eyeball, through the eye and into the brain?
And it's really, it's really...
So the guy comes at him, we can set that up at least a little bit. I don't want to be overly descriptive on the scene, but the guy comes at him with a chair, which is a thing people will do. And why didn't they think about this before? Just kick the fucking chair right back into his eye, through his fucking skull. It was there for the taking all along in these movies, and nobody ever took it until Punisher Warzone did.
Oh, yeah, this movie just doesn't give a fuck. That's the only way I know to describe it. It's no.
It's fucking straight out of the comic book, the violence. The headshots, the exploding gore out of the back of the fucking heads. So, yeah, he fucking is basically just killing all the fucking mafia guys that he can. Gets to Billy the Butte, the young, kind of vain, played by Dominic West, awesomely played by Dominic West. Says he's the number one, earner for that branch of mafia.
Right,
He's kind of the guy that's really being successful. And I think he says later in the movie, talks about how everybody's in his pocket. He has connections everywhere. So, he's kind of making that power play. He manages not to get killed in the opening scene by the Punisher, because he says, one of my favorite lines, I ain't eating with that shit bag.
Yeah.
That old shit bag.
That's right after the old man did explain that he does in fact shit in a bag. He has a colostomy bag.
Yeah, he has a colostomy bag. And there it's the dissension with the old guys you young punk, you're still gonna respect me, the boss. And he's fuck you, old man.
Yeah, and they set up. They mentioned his brother, Looney Bin Jim, in that scene, who they're setting up, which is foreshadowing. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. He does mention. He says that he, could have sent Billy the Butte off to the Looney Bin, just like Looney Bin Jim,
implying that he's just as crazy, which I would probably agree with after seeing the movie.
And at this point, early on in the movie, he's really just vain, checking himself out in the mirror a bunch.
Okay, he's a hotshot, up and coming mafioso capo. He knows what's coming. He sees the future in his horizon. The old guard is getting old and dying off, and it's ripe for the taking. Now, after what happens to him, I'd say he probably would belong in the same category of crazy as old LBJ, one of my favorite additions to this movie. That's one of the only things that doesn't come from the comic books, by the way.
Yes, Looney Bin Jim. That was a concept. I think the director came up with that. Maybe it was written in, but I think the director came up with it.
It was not the director. One of the original people at the studio involved with the movie wanted to do it, because the director didn't come in until late. That was the German chick.
Late relatively to I guess late to the existence of the concept of the movie, not late into the production of this movie. She 100% made this movie.
Yeah, no, definitely.
This movie was 100% her vision.
Late into the concept, and if the stuff I was reading is accurate, then he was already cast and that character was in there, because the script was around for a long time.
Yeah, they wanted to do it with Thomas Jane and all the guys from Punisher 2004, which I think went on for a couple of years even.
And then that's part of why Thomas Jane bailed, was how long it was taking. It's I don't even really care about this project. I think he said why spend months of my life worrying about something that I'm just not emotionally invested in. I think it's the quote, but he ultimately. But he's cool with clearly based on the short film. He's cool with reprising the role of the Punisher. He just wants it to be a more gritty, realistic. He doesn't want it to be comic book based. That's kind of the difference between this movie and the 2004, when it was more of a gritty kind of real movie, whereas this is definitely just an ode to the comics.
Yes, this is just a completely campy, over the top action throwback to 80s movie, but done awesomely, shot great, It looks awesome.
Oh yeah, and Ray Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson's the man.
Fantastic. Shot out Punisher.
He is like just like a perfect Punisher. If I had any issue with the movie, it would be like a small, and maybe I would even consider it a nitpick gripe, was maybe a couple of like the Punisher lines where like they'd be lines that like for instance, one of the guys is like dying that's like that's on the Punisher side. It's the guy that's friends with Microchip. What they say his name was. He was like the ex-Mexican gangbanger
Right.
that was kind of like Microchip's second. Microchip being
Wayne Knight.
Newman, and Microchip, as Punisher fans would know exactly who Microchip is. People that aren't fans of Punisher might not know who Microchip is. Microchip is like the gun like supplier.
Right.
He gets the guns and like any kind of tech and any kind of stuff the Punisher like gear. He gets all the gear for the Punisher. He's like that. He's Punisher's guy. Anyway, I was getting back to the line that I didn't really like. That guy's dying. The ex-Mexican gangbanger, and he's like, "See you in hell, Castle." Castle's like, the Punisher is like, "If I see you anywhere near hell, kick your ass out." And I was like, I love this line from like a movie standpoint, from like an awesome shoot 'em up like campy movie. I love that line as like a ode to like the comic books, and maybe that line's straight out of the fucking comic books. But for me, it just seems like a line that was like, I don't feel like the Punisher would say that.
Yeah, I think that was just a throwback because they already showed the scene at this point where he was at the church and kind of established that at one time he was studying
religious,
to be a preacher. Yeah, and so I think that was kind of throwing back to that. Oh yeah, Punisher he apparently still holds on to some semblance of his beliefs, I guess, but they kind of make more references to that. Really, like not really before that at all, but then after it shows him in the church, it seems like they keep bringing that up. But yeah. I think that was another one of those little nods. But
and I can see why they would like have him say a line like that, because it's like I picture that line like a moment like that in the comic book. If that guy says that, the Punisher probably is just very stoic and just dead. Just kind of like lets it happen. Maybe doesn't even say anything.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like they're not going to have the fucking actor not say anything.
Right. Yeah.
You're not looking to have them not say lines.
I did love the way Ray Stevenson looked, though. I felt like he looks like the way they drew like the Punisher in the Punisher Max comics. It looks like with the slick back hair and not to me that was perfect. I think that they nailed him with the look. I don't know like who I like as far as the look goes. The more I definitely like his Punisher look more than Thomas Jane's look, but and maybe not so much the performance of it, but like I thought that they nailed it on that. That just from an aesthetic point of view.
Yeah, I agree. So Punisher's mowing down all the mafia guys. Eventually gets to Billy the Butte in his glass refinery. I guess that's like why were they at the glass refinery? Just their spot?
It was the family business. It was called the I think the Rossetti or Rosati.
Yeah.
Refinery. It showed the sign outside of it, and that's his last name in the movie. Not in the comic. I think it was just Russo or something, or Rossi or something shorter, and they extended it in the movie.
Yes, it's Billy the Butte Russo in the comics, and Russati is what they called him in the movie. And very fun fact about the glass scene. Fun fact: Sons of Anarchy and the Shield creator Kurt Sutter, who was attached to this film, wrote a script that they changed so much he asked his name to be removed from it. But he did go out later in an interview and say this was the only scene from his original script that stayed in it, and he was glad that they kept it because he loved it because it was so gory. But,
right.
Yes, of course, where Billy the Butte gets fucked up royally by this glass.
Yeah, fucking Punisher throws him into like a glass grinder at this glass refinery.
And it's such an awesome like comic book looking contraption. It doesn't look like anything that would really exist in the real world. It's got that spinning claw on top of it, and
right.
And of course, you have like all great superhero movies. He has the moment where he could have just saved himself so much trouble in the future. There, as he's got his gun to Billy the Butte's hand, and he's like, "No, I'm going to crush him with the glass instead."
Yeah, and because he's like pretty efficiently taking out killers most of the time. It really was until that scene. I think I might have even noted that where it's like. Up to this point, Punisher's like, taking like one shot to just kill a whole bunch of mobsters in like a short period of time. And then he gets to the refinery, and like every person that he like comes across, which is like Billy the Beaut, goon number 1, like the dad goon, and goon number 2, the son cokehead goon, which is like Billy the Beaut's number 1 and 2. He like gets the dad first and like throws him like kicks him down some stairs, and then like just moves on. And I'm like, well, this Punisher, why didn't he just shoot that guy? Why didn't he just shoot him? And I know why, because that guy was pretty awesome and was like some comic relief in the movie, and like dies way more awesomely later on. And so, but it's kind of like, oh, this Punisher had been like very tactical in taking everybody out, and then this scene, it was like he just like jumping kicks him from like a story up and down some stairs, and then just moves on. A short thing of stairs. Like you wouldn't presume him dead.
Right. Speaking of the son, my favorite was his entrance into the movie when Billy the Beaut says, "Keep your nose clean," and then
he's like, all right.
Very next, like not a second later, does a bump of coke, and it's like, holy shit! Keep your nose clean. Okay.
Fuck you, dead.
Right.
Both of those characters, Pitsy and Ink, were also comic characters, not in the Jigsaw gang.
And at the glass refinery is where we're first introduced to McGinty and the Urban Free Flow gang.
Yes.
Which is some parkour gangsters.
I think I read in an interview where, well, we'll get to that. I don't want to bring that up yet because there's a point where I'll bring this up and it'll be relevant. But
well, McGinty's another comic book character. He came from the Punisher Max arc Kishin Irish. He did not do parkour in the comics. He was involved in the Irish gangbanging and the IRA and shit like that. But no, and now he's a parkour master.
Do
you think maybe he might have been a parkour master and they just didn't choose to show it?
Quite possibly.
Like, was he built to be potentially a parkour master? Or
he was in shape and shit.
Yeah, okay.
I just love how he was Irish. Like, first time that you see the dude, you think, oh, this guy's going to be Jamaican because he's got the dreads. He's a black guy. No, he's an Irish guy.
Ian
threw me for a loop. I know.
I thought you were better than that.
I'm just saying. I expected a movie that was this comical and cartoony to stick to the cliches, and they threw you a curveball. It's nice to see some.
He was straight up Irish.
It's nice to see some progressiveness in a Punisher movie.
I will say the comic that McGinty comes from, there was a character in there that they didn't include in this movie. I'm sad that they didn't because he was a 90-year-old Irish gang leader who called everyone a shower of cunts, and it was just hilarious to me.
A shower of cunts.
You're on a shower of cunts.
That's a lot. That's a lot of cunts.
I noticed that the Punisher in this movie had a very similar hideout to the Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Yeah, it was an underground lair.
Subway. Yeah, like sweet.
Kept his britches on this time, though.
Yeah, no nude Ray Stevenson.
Well, I don't think there's a lot of demand for Ray Stevens' butt cheeks. Like, probably more for Dolph Lundgren's in the 80s. Like, to bring the ladies into the crowd.
Also important to note in this movie is how on board with the Punisher the cops seem to be.
Yeah.
Like, they just, it ranges from don't give a fuck to outright help the Punisher. Is basically the range of the cops.
Like Soap, the character Soap, is the only one who seems like he kind of wants to catch the Punisher.
He's the only person in the Punisher task force.
But then there's other times where he's totally not. He's like, "No, you're the Punisher. Go do your."
As it turns out, later you find that he blatantly helps the Punisher.
Yeah.
Like he's like the Punisher, like he's kind of acts like. He's, fuck it, you're the Punisher, I'm gonna let you go, maybe because I'm scared. And then later in the movie, it's like, he's like, oh, gee, Frank, maybe, giving you some leads here and there is one thing, but this,
You gave him, access to the database, didn't he?
Yeah, their criminal database, just,
he's like, I don't support you killing all these guys, but here's how you can find them.
Oh, and then another big plot of the movie, the Punisher, when he's taking out all the guys in the glass factory, ends up killing an FBI, an undercover FBI agent.
And this leads to the one police officer who actually does want to stop the Punisher.
That actually does want to stop the Punisher.
Budiansky, who was played by Colin Salmon from Arrow.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy's badass. He's like Australian, I think.
Yeah.
That guy is badass.
His acting, I thought, was great. I love the scene.
Yeah.
I love the scene where he's in the police, but right before he gets assigned to the Punisher task force, and he's in there and he's like, "You donut eating fucks" or something like that.
Well, because all the cops are just like kind of laughing at him, when, about making the Punisher basically like own up to killing this FBI agent.
Right.
Also own up to like murdering like hundreds of people over the course of years, and like the cops are just totally like completely flippant about it. Like
They probably all tried at one point, and it's probably already
They reference like the guy says we have a real national security threat. Like we don't have time to worry about some crazy vigilante, but it's a crazy vigilante that has killed like 120 something people probably.
And like they talk about, they don't really go into this too much, but like the original deal that the mobsters are setting up in the beginning of the movie is for a biological weapon.
Right.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, is that not also the plot of the original 1989 Punisher? Like, doesn't that center around a biological weapon? Like,
I don't remember if it was biological. I think there was just some arms dealing or drugs
dealing.
dealing.
Biological, it may have been nuclear.
some kind
Okay,
of
something like that.
weapon
There
of
you go.
like terrorist
Okay, yeah.
style.
They're
weapon
gonna
of
give it
mass
up to the ragheads and queens.
The redheads and queens. It's moving out of the city. We all know you're keeping it in the city. It's the Russians. Isn't it? Is it the Russians that are doing it? No, the Russians are involved somehow. I've got it written down here. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
Somehow there's Russians involved.
Yeah.
There's always Russians involved. So yeah, Punisher kills the FBI guy. Feels really bad about it. Finds out, like I guess goes through his shit and sees these guys wearing a wire.
Yeah, and figured out.
Immediately knows that he's the FBI and he's fucked up. And it really tears him up. Tears the Punisher up. He considers quitting.
Yeah, enough to make him reconsider this whole punishing ordeal.
Tries to make reparations with that guy's family, who we come to find is the wife acted by Julie Benz of Dexter fame, who I hate to say it because she's a pretty lady, and I think I actually bumped into her at Dragon Con once and she was nice, but she's pretty much terrible in everything but Dexter.
Yeah.
She was pretty terrible in Dexter.
I mean, I guess it's because Rita was supposed to be kind of a shot out
So
character.
fragile
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
because like, I mean, she's not great
I
in
say
Punisher Warzone.
Terrible's not the right thing to say about how she did in Dexter. I just kind of found her voice annoying. She was like real breathy and like fragile. I understand that's her character, but it was just annoying.
Okay, like in Punisher Warzone, she's kind of there, right? But she played a similar character in Boondock Saints 2 and was just atrociously bad in that. And is not really, putting in like what I would consider like an A+ effort in this Punisher Warzone either. It's like she tries to act to the material almost.
One thing that I thought was really funny in the funeral scene of the fallen FBI agent, that's where Punisher realizes, he's watching from the shadows and realizes that, he hurt a family, and it probably hit him right in the feels on that one. But then, like, after the funeral's over, of course, the FBI agent partner guy, I can't remember his name, goes and talks to the wife, and she's like, "We're gonna get him." He's in the same, like, vicinity, like, not even hiding
Once again,
at his grave.
Once again, a throwback to Dolph Lundgren Punisher. Punisher just lurking very close by and stands out in a crowd, I feel like.
Lurking very close by, he's giving away, he's standing at his fucking family's tombstone in the same graveyard. So, like, all they had to do was go and read the fucking tombstone. Castle. Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird that we're looking for Frank Castle and his family is also buried in this cemetery? Let's go take a look at that. They would have found him right then and there.
Yeah. That we've established, man. The cops in this town just don't care. And the FBI are apparently just now getting in on it.
Yeah.
It's like, they haven't even really. It's just this guy's partner at this point. The FBI comes in later.
It's one of the only Punisher films to take place in his true hometown of New York City.
In New York? Where was Dolph Lundgren Punisher? I didn't really...
It was supposed to be New York.
I felt like it might as well have been New York.
It was shot in Australia, but it was supposed to be New York.
Yeah.
But they used a lot of the wrong, like, city logos and a lot of the wrong, like, patches and stuff. So, and, like, obviously, like, they couldn't use any real New York landmarks. They shot it, I think I want to say it was in Sydney or something. So,
yeah. The
city that you, like, scape you see is Sydney Cityscape.
And obviously, Thomas Jane Punisher was in majestic Tampa.
The lovely Twin Cities.
Lovely. I mean, you go down there, it feels great. It's just a great place to be.
Oh yeah, it's the death metal capital of the world.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Oh, Tampa's the shit.
Is it still? Because that's like a 90s thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's where all the original death metal bands came from. But I don't think. I mean, there's good death metal down there for sure.
Oh, I got to work a little circuit down there in like 2001, and Tampa's fucking happening. Like Chattanooga's not shit.
Right.
I think Tampa, there's lots going on in Tampa.
Chattanooga, not shit. Heard it here first. I feel like I wonder if it was like with Dominic West and he becomes Jigsaw. You know, gets thrown in the glass, has kind of like he ends up not dying. You have the scene where like it's kind of like a throwback to the Joker scene with Jack Nicholson and Batman. You know, it was very reminiscent of that to me when I was watching it. You know, where he's like wrapped up and like he's kind of unveiling it, and the cokehead kid like pukes when he sees Jigsaw's face, and the doctor is pretty funny. The doctor's like kind of like straight man comedically like beforehand being like, you should not have survived this. You know, there was no bone structure, there was no muscle, there's no skin. We were able to like piece it together with all of this stuff, and he's like so straight about it, but like being real insistent that he understands this. And Jigsaw, of course, hates the way he looks with the horse hide and the rebuilt face, and kills the doctor. But the cokehead kid puking was pretty hilarious, and the dad being like, "Oh, come on," and like slapping him in the back of the head and removing him from the room.
I do agree with you. I did feel like it was reminiscent of the Jack Nicholson Joker scene.
Yeah.
I expected Dominic West to look into the mirror and start laughing the same way. Like, kind of isn't even
Smash it.
obvious throwback, but they didn't.
Right.
They didn't go that route.
But no. Jigsaw hates mirrors.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to that more later. Because next, I believe they go bust out Looney Bin Jim.
Yes.
And Looney Bin Jim's awesome.
Yeah,
what's that actor's name?
Richardson is his last name, I think. Hang on, I have it right here.
It's pretty legit. Like, the guy's been in some legit stuff. I do know that.
Yeah, it's a crazy fact I read about him. He initially didn't want to do the role, but then the director sat on the phone with him for a couple hours and explained her vision of the movie and the character, and that before the phone call was over, he agreed to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Doug Hutchison, and don't eat his motherfucking applesauce.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my applesauce back.
Yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy. That was such a great character. I thought he was just over the top enough, you know, like they could have probably made him like worse and
what we're referencing with the applesauce, the orderly is like torturing him, like he's like tied up to the bed in this like insane asylum, this like, you know, Arkham Asylum style insane asylum, I imagine, where it's like a bunch of criminally insane people, and not like, you know, like not feeding him his applesauce, eating it instead.
Right.
Being orderly.
And the orderly even calls him Looney Bin Jim in the Looney Bin.
I thought that too. I was like, okay, well.
Does he call it like, go to the next place, all right, Looney Bin Steve, go to the next one, all right, Looney Bin John, you know?
And it's like, that was something that like the old mobster had called Looney Bin Jim like earlier in the movie. So it's like, is that a connection that just everybody just like makes that connection to him? Or like did somehow that orderly like know that was like the thing to call him to really piss him off? Or?
Well, yeah, I think he like, you know, has a reputation. I think so. Like, he's obviously a well-known in the criminal world.
So it's like he's Looney. It's an alias, a known alias.
Right.
Is Looney Bin Jim.
Right.
He's the Rough House Fargo of the Russo family. You know, just once a year, he calls in old Rough House from the Looney Bin.
You gotta bring in
come in for the score.
You gotta bring in the real X factor. And that's where that just had a really awesome like interaction between Looney Bin Jim and Jigsaw. It was just a couple of brothers that just really loved each other.
Yeah, they had a really tight-knit bond.
You could tell they had a real tight bond. To the point that Jigsaw hates to see himself in a mirror because he used to love to check himself out in the mirror.
Right.
And he's still pretty stylish, but just wretched in the face.
Right.
And Looney Bin Jim vows that he never has to look into another mirror in his life.
And this is a scene where you kind of see that Looney Bin Jim's got some like athletic chops. Like he's doing all kinds of crazy spin kicks and twirls and busting up every mirror in this room that he possibly can, like doing drop kicks into mirrors, and he doesn't really show off his full like abilities, but like the dude can definitely spin and twirl like none other. Like I don't know if he knows like kung fu or what that's called, but he definitely ain't to be fucked with.
So yeah, basically at this point we have the Punisher and Jigsaw kind of on a collision course, right? Yeah. Especially when Jigsaw finds out that the FBI agent, was the undercover guy, was like in his gang. It was this guy was close to him, and there was like some money involved there, like some money exchange where like that guy had some of his money,
right?
And so he's out to like get that money. It's like $100,000, and so he has to go to the guy's wife. He finds out where the guy lives and is going to go like hit up the wife and daughter, the widow and half orphaned child.
Right. Yeah, and this is in my opinion, leading up to one of the best scenes in the movie.
It's the best back-to-back scenes because, Jigsaw decides that he's going to go there to get the money. Punisher figures it out by hitting up the Urban Free Flow gang.
Oh, yeah.
McGinty.
Yeah, this is...
And by hitting them up, I mean killing them awesomely.
Oh, man. This scene was great. This was like, okay, you got the first guy, it's like... See, the thing is, when they introduced these guys, my thoughts were, okay...
There's a parkour gang. 3 parkour guys.
It's going to be a challenge to the Punisher. I feel like they're going to do some cool parkour. It's going to be probably almost more than the Punisher can handle, because he doesn't,
Like a hand-to-hand scene. You foresaw some type of martial arts exchange between them.
Right, maybe knife fighting, something like that. No, that's not what happens at all. He makes really short work of these guys.
Yeah, rocket launchers, one of them, a mid-flip.
Because you don't even know the Punisher's even watching them yet. You just see the first guy jump over the building, then the second guy does this flip, and then you just see
and they're having a fucking great time parkouring.
Oh, they love it.
They're all hopped up on meth.
Yeah, because that's what the ex-Mexican gangbanger, friend of Microchip, tells the Punisher that McGinty's on a constant meth high. And that's where Punisher finds out about the Urban Free Flow gang.
Right. And then he rocket launchers the shit out of that guy, like out of nowhere.
Mid-flip. And even the rocket doesn't fly straight at him. It kind of takes a curve.
Oh yeah, it's like a nice heat-seeking path where.
Yeah.
you have time to register that it's getting at him to realize, wait a minute, is this gonna happen?
That's
yes.
The spot where I remember the first time I ever watched this movie. Sadly, not in the theater, but it was in DVD shortly after it had come out. This was 2008, 2009, and in the room full of guys that we were all watching that when that rocket came out of fucking nowhere and blew that guy up, I definitely was out of my seat, jumping in the air, cheering, like I was watching a sporting event.
Yes, in other podcasts I've heard about it, in packed showings of the theater, that became a cult thing with showings of the movie. It was every time they would hit the fucking rocket launcher spot, the standing ovation. I saw it in the theater, but it was me and another guy, and nobody else was in the theater, so we were going nuts.
Sure. And there's multiple, definitely cheer out loud scenes in this movie, and that was just one of the biggest ones.
Oh yeah. And then of course the other guy who hasn't jumped yet is in total shock, so the Punisher makes real short work of him.
One headshot from his rifle, and he caps McGinty, gets the information, finds out that Jigsaw's on his way over to the FBI widow. What's their name?
The one where he throws him off. The third one, doesn't he throw him off the building?
Well, you think maybe because McGinty's I gave you the information, so maybe you'll let me live, because he's already shot out both kneecaps. Shot out both kneecaps.
His parkour days are done.
And so he cuts to Soap and the dead undercover FBI guy's former partner who's hell bent on catching the Punisher. They're driving around, and I know they're looking for the Punisher specifically. So they really awesome. They happened on this spot. I think they were approaching what it was Soap tells the FBI guy a good way that I try to follow the Punisher is to follow on the CB where the crime is, and that's maybe Punisher will pop up and kill some criminals. As it turns out, the Urban Free Flow gang hit up a gas station, like killed the gas attendant, and were fleeing from that as the Punisher caught them, I suppose. So Soap and the fucking FBI guy driving up, and McGinty's body, after he proposes with Punisher that Punisher let him go for giving him the information, McGinty's body just comes down onto this like most wicked looking steel fence and just impaled, bleeding out, about to die. And the Punisher fucking like double stomps his fucking head off his body, like right as the cops. They of course the cops like screech to a stop. When the body hits, and they see the entire thing.
And Punisher doesn't even acknowledge the cops. I mean, he just does that, breaks the guy's neck, and then just runs off. And
on my way.
Yep.
So the FBI cop, I guess he pulls the gun on Punisher. They have a pretty cool little fight. Like a pretty cool hand-to-hand fight. That cop holds his own. The FBI guy holds his own against Punisher. Oh, I did like in this movie, they called Frank Castle, they said he was like a special forces instructor, which would mean he was like ex-special forces. So I felt like they gave him the real good background.
That's the most canon of canon, man. All the way back to the shot-out Vietnam Special Forces vet. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So now, and it's like, they have a kind of funny gag where, like, fucking, they fight, and Punisher eventually just, like, beats the shit out of the guy, like, to, like, knock him out so he can go. And I can't remember, like, why he stops, but, like, while he stopped there, I can't remember if he's, like, talking to somebody or what it is he's doing, but the fucking FBI guy, like, handcuffs himself to the Punisher. And he's, oh, man, what does he say to him? He's like, you have the right to shut the fuck up! It was really awesome. So they're on the way to the like same house that Jigsaw's on the way to, which is leading into the best scene, right?
Oh,
the one I think you referenced.
Oh yeah. This whole scene at the house is,
or it's your favorite scene.
Yeah, it's just great, like start to finish. It starts off with the Jigsaw gang showing up and ultimately wreaking havoc and.
Killing a couple cops.
Oh yeah, the cops come in and
like a couple of like uniformed police officers show up. I don't know if that was like. I can't remember if somebody like tipped them off that there might be something going on. Maybe the FBI guy called ahead and was like, "Send a squad car over" or something.
Yeah, probably, or like they had fired shots or something that alerted the police that there might be something amiss here. Of course,
those two cops immediately just get killed.
Yeah, Looney Bin Jim invites them in, and then. Immediately, I can't remember how the first guy dies, but I know the
baseball bat to the head.
Baseball bat to the head
from Looney Bin Jim,
and then the female cop gets impaled with a sword
by the cokehead kid.
And
they terrorize Rita from Dexter and the daughter, and then the fucking cop show up. It's like the FBI guy goes in first, and then the Punisher just like gets soaked to let him out, so he can go in and
it's like come on, man,
and really do it. Like, hey, this FBI guy's gonna get killed by all the psychos. I'm the only one that can go in fucking one on, like, 4.
It's like, me. Come on, dude. Come on.
So the Punisher gets to come in, and the reason why the 2 goons of Jigsaw didn't get killed earlier was so that they could fucking get killed here. And I'm so glad that happened, because these deaths were just so much, like, better than they could have been. Seen before.
Yeah, like, the way the cokehead guy goes out,
he gets punched through the face.
Through the face. Like,
through the head. It's like through his entire head.
Like, I'm pretty sure Punisher's fist hit the wall behind
his head. Through his face.
Yeah, it was like the second Jason Voorhees kill in the Punisher trilogy. I mean, the first one would have to be the harpoon through the eye with the Jason Voorhees Batman combo from the Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Yeah.
But
punching right through.
I mean, that's a Jason Voorhees kill if I ever saw one.
Yeah. Yeah, this Punisher in this movie is definitely a fucking, like, slasher. Like, slasher villain.
Isn't he holding the little girl when he's doing all this, too? Like, and the little girl in his arm?
No, not when he punches through the guy's face. Because then he walks up on, because, like, Jigsaw and Looney Bin Jim, like, went upstairs to hit up the safe where their money was. So that's, like, why they're not down here in this scene or whatever. And, like, the cop comes in and, like, gets the dad goon. And, is like sitting him down, about to read him his rights. Meanwhile, the Punisher fucking punches through the cokehead kid's face because the cokehead kid's like walking off to check like the sound of like a window breaking or something.
Right.
Stops to do some coke.
Yeah.
Not keeping his nose clean, and then gets punched right. I wonder if that was like him punching through his face was supposed to be like this kid's done so much coke it's like weakened his like face.
I don't know. Or maybe it's like, I'll clean those sinuses out for you. Boom!
Yeah, just right through his face. So like the FBI agent sits the dad goon down and he's about to like basically read him his rights, and the Punisher just walks up with the girl in his hands at this point.
Yeah.
And like right next, point blank with a shotgun to his face, blows his fucking face off.
You have the right to remain silent 18 seconds. Yeah, just like mid-sentence.
Damn it, Frank! Oh, Frank!
That crazy Frank.
Frank, that crazy Frank Castle.
Always shooting folk in the face.
So it is Jigsaw, and then they like there's like a shootout as like the Punisher escapes, and he like gets away from the cops, and the FBI agent escapes, and then I guess they catch Jigsaw.
Yeah, the FBI agent arrests Jigsaw and
Jigsaw and Jim. Jigsaw sells out the Russians. That's where the Russians come into play. Because Jigsaw was brokering the deal with the chemical weapons from the Russians to the towelheads uptown.
Right.
And so he sells out the Russians on that deal. FBI fucking like busts up the Russians deal, and that grants
It's them immunity.
it grants them immunity. These crazy psychos. I don't think it works that way. I don't know. Maybe it does. So they're just basically let off, and also give Jigsaw all the information on Punisher. So that's how they're able to go get like microchip. They go fucking bag microchip and start bagging all the people that are close to the Punisher, I guess. Figure out where Punisher's like hideout is. I'm assuming by like torturing microchip, I would assume.
Yeah. Kill Microchip's poor mother.
Yeah, his granny or whatever, the like Alzheimer's grandmother, her like head's blown half off. This movie goes there.
Yes, relentless.
Lots of grandma slaying.
I noticed that, and I wonder if it's like because this is with Dominic West and the Jigsaw character. Like, I don't know if it's because of the prosthetic mask or what, but it seemed like his accent got thicker.
Oh,
He
yeah.
became Jigsaw.
Well, even when he says, call me Jigsaw.
Call me Jigsaw.
And then there's like part, like, I know there's definitely a part when they're like building up to the big scene at the hotel where he says something about lore, or like...
Lore.
Lore.
Yeah, he definitely calls the law lore. I guess we talk about that. Jigsaw then decides to recruit an army to kill the Punisher.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the big finale scene. Is like that's what really the whole movie's leading up to. Is this orgy of violence that's about to take place in this big trap.
Yep, he has this hotel, this like old abandoned hotel. Opens it up, like lights up the sign, so the Punisher knows right where to go. Leaves them, goes abducts the girl, and the mom.
Right. And kills the...
Kills the ex-Mexican gangbanger. Ex-Mexican gangbanger tells Punisher, I'll see you in hell. Punisher says, I'll kick your ass out if I see you anywhere near hell. So sweet.
Yeah, leaves him, I think... He doesn't kill him, he leaves him a gun so he can kill himself, right?
He shoots him.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah. He puts him out of his misery. And so, yeah, Jigsaw has to recruit an army. So he goes around to all the different gangs, all the different stereotype gangs. So there's like the street gangs of New York, the like Japanese, and the Irish.
The Irish, yes. He like
doesn't go to the Russians because he sold the Russians out.
Right.
But the FBI agent goes to the Russians, right? And
Absolutely.
it's like you want the guy that sold out your son, big Russian boss, go here. So they fucking go in and like Jigsaw's like army thinks this is just more goons coming in for the fucking Punisher party, quote unquote.
Right.
And
ends up basically just causing a huge distraction. So
just starts fucking just shooting a bunch of people. I guess they all probably died. I don't know.
A lot of them did. Like, I was like, this is weird that they're all like willing to lay their life on the line for the Punisher's sake, but I guess it's ultimately for revenge. Well,
like with the old man, you would see the the revenge. But yeah, like it seemed like every member of the fucking Russian gang there was just willing to fucking
like frontline assault.
Frontline assault, yeah, definitely. And so the Punisher fucking comes in, and this is also like, I mean, this is anytime the Punisher gets to take down a bad guy hideout layer by layer is fucking great, which has happened in all 3 Punisher movies. And in this one, it's fucking the best.
Oh yeah. He jumps in and immediately starts shooting people, and then jumps through a window to get in to this building. I guess like a boarded up window even, and you kind of like can look and see in the windows to see where everybody is. So I guess that's kind of how he formulates his game plan. He shoots some people. He does this cool thing where he puts like a grenade in a paint can and kicks that, and then like the dude
it bounces off the wall into the room where the guy like down the hall is hiding. The guy gives a real like eye roll, like, oh great, just my luck. Gets blown away. Movie's like awesomely campy.
Oh yeah, and it's just a great shoot 'em up action sequence up layer to layer. And then my favorite's when he finally gets to the level with all the
like street thugs.
The street thugs, yeah, the urban gang. And he knows they're all in this room, like kind of shows them like they're all guns pointed
at the door, like he's gonna just like walk through the door.
Right.
That looked pretty hilarious. And he just like this gun he's carrying is like the most awesomely like complicated gun. It's like a fucking assault rifle with like a grenade launcher attachment that has like a pistol grip with like a fucking extended clip. It shows him putting it together like in the scene where he's getting ready to fucking go take everything down. And it was like my fucking favorite, just watching him put together that awesome gun.
Oh yeah.
Like busts it through the door and just launches the grenade into the middle of the room.
It blows like a couple guys out of the windows.
Yeah.
A piece of shrapnel impales a dude to the wall through his head.
Through his head. The Punisher, like, mercy kills that guy, like, headshot, like...
There's a couple other guys who are, like, squirming around. He mercy kills, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite kill in the movie, and there's a lot of them, but, I mean, that scene is just so ridiculous. Like, when I first got the DVD, I had to rewind that scene, like, 3 times.
The grenade launcher? Yeah, it's the best.
I mean, there's like 1 million kills in the hotel, so, I guess we could just kind of talk about some of our favorites.
Yeah, well, I think the next one of note is when he like opens up the elevator.
And there's like this absurdly fat Irish guy who's
he's not like ready to kill anybody. He's just sitting there reading.
I think he's like smoking a joint or something.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you gotta be shitting me or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure blows his fucking head off.
But then that's when Looney Bin Jim comes in. He kicks out like from above.
Yeah.
And that's where that fight starts. And then this is really where you see Looney Bin Jim's like karate prowess or whatever, So it's not karate, but
Well, it is. It's like some like Matrix karate.
Yeah, he's doing like
jumping off walls.
Oh yeah, doing flips and kind of giving the Punisher a run for his money. This is the first fight I feel like in the movie where you like kind of the Punisher feels like it's like he's about to lose,
or like be tested.
Right. And but I feel like the scene, like he throws Looney Bin Jim through this glass pane into a bathroom, and then kicks the door down, and that's where the fight really starts. Pulls a gun, but Looney Bin Jim kicks the gun out of his hand or something, and they kind of have a hand-to-hand combat fight, and he's like slamming Looney Bin Jim into all these walls, and then even slams him into a mirror. And I feel like this is reminiscent of the scene where Looney Bin Jim is slamming himself into all the mirrors. It's like, oh, he's used to this.
Like, he can take this. Which then Looney Bin Jim gets beat up by Punisher, like runs off. Punisher chases him into where fucking Jigsaw has like microchip on one side of the room, and Looney Bin Jim runs up to where the other side of the room has like fucking Rita from Dexter and the little girl, and like they're both holding guns to their heads, and they're like fucking forcing the Punisher to choose, when he runs in, because he like who's he gonna save, classic standoff.
Right. It's like, he's the one who's got to pull the trigger. He's like, you got to shoot one of these people, and then we'll let the other one go. But I think the Punisher knows that's bullshit. That's never how it works out.
Right. So he chooses to shoot Looney Bin Jim in the head. Microchip gets shot in the head by Jigsaw, and while Jigsaw's shooting Microchip in the head, Punisher runs and like jumps in front of the like wife and daughter so that like Jigsaw can't shoot them.
Right, yeah. He tries, but it hits his vest instead.
Yeah.
And then this leads up to the ultimate fight scene in the movie of him versus Jigsaw, which isn't I mean Jigsaw puts up a little bit of a fight, but he's no Looney Bin Jim. Like,
yeah,
he pretty much gets
Jigsaw's main he really got his heat in on Punisher while he had everybody at gunpoint because he forces Punisher to throw him his gun and shoots the Punisher a few times in his bulletproof vest.
Right.
But that's gonna fucking fuck you up. So
you
that's
made
where he
the
got his
comparison earlier to the Joker and Jigsaw, and I think it's an adequate comparison as far as the Joker's not an expert in most incarnations, an expert hand-to-hand combat guy.
Right.
He's good with a gun and a knife, but if you just gotta fight him, you're gonna kick his ass pretty easily.
Right.
The same thing with Jigsaw. He's a leader. He's more about his brains and running the operation as crazy as he is.
Looney Bin Jim was the enforcer.
That's right. He was the muscle.
Right. I feel like at least in the movie, in the comics, what I read about Jigsaw is that he actually becomes a pretty even match for the Punisher. Like he goes to jail and gets really strong or something. But in the movie, they decide to go a different route with him. And
maybe that's some later on with Jigsaw, or is that just all Jigsaw? Is that just flat out Jigsaw?
No, I think it's when he's first introduced, he's kind of more like he is in the movie. But obviously, we're getting to this, but his death is pretty cool. Eventually, Punisher stabs him through the side with a spear, which I think Jigsaw picks it up and attacks him with it and gets one hit in, and then Punisher immediately wrestles it away from him.
Fucking just skewers him through the ribs.
Yeah,
right underneath the ribs, through the side.
Then kicks him out on a fire. But then he goes, "This is just the beginning." But he was. And
he's going to hell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then he's going to burn in hell for all eternity.
That's another.
This
reference.
Punisher, super religious.
That's another reference to his belief system.
Yeah, and also, Jesus saves, and Punisher saves.
Oh yeah,
that's how the movie ends.
That's right. That's right.
Jesus saves
because it saves soap.
Jesus saves, Punisher saves, because Punisher saves Soap as he's getting mugged.
It's the city's so corrupt that he's walking. Soap is literally leaving one crime scene and immediately stumbles across into another guy. Hey, give me your fucking wallet.
Yeah, and that guy was just mugging him, and Soap's Frank, and then Punisher pops up. You see the cross where that's where the Jesus saves is, and the light goes out on Jesus, and it's just the Punisher sign is the light, because it's kind of how Punisher comes into the movie. It's dark and you just see the Punisher emblem on his chest. That's how the movie fades out. You just see the Punisher emblem and saves as he shoots this guy mugging Soap. That guy was just mugging him. Maybe he didn't have the guts to go through with killing Soap.
And Soap was a fucking cop, for God's sakes.
I feel
Does he just think the Punisher is his personal fucking enforcer now? It's hey man, this guy fucking shorted me 25 cents at the gas station, Frank.
It was right
Punisher
after.
Saves.
It was right after he was trying to lecture him too. I just don't think the death penalty is the best. But then he calls Frank. What does he think Frank's gonna do?
And then admits that he's not morally on board with what the Punisher does fully, but
when his life is
immediately, not even his life. The guy was gonna rob him. The guy was just robbing him.
His fucking his maxed out credit cards and his fucking Captain D's coupon book were on the line.
Yeah.
They obviously don't show this, but you got to know while the Punisher's off in the distance and he hears Frank, he just had to go oh god, inside, damn it. It's I just clocked out.
I've been talking the whole movie about how I want to quit, about how I want to get out, and they keep pulling me back in.
Right.
So, this fucking Punisher Warzone, everybody should see it if you haven't already seen it.
Oh, great movie. My favorite of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, highly shit on by douchey, stuffy people. I just don't. If you don't get what this movie's going for, then you're not the audience that it was trying to reach, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's the, true Punisher fans, Punisher movie. It's the true, action movie fans, fucking action movie.
Even horror movie fans. I mean, it's so gory. It's more gory than any horror film that came out last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just great. Definitely one of my faves.
Absolutely. On a scale of 1 to 10, this one gets probably a solid 9, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably put it in like an 8.5 range.
Yeah, it ranks high.
But it's a campy movie. There. For being a campy action movie, it's a fucking 10.
Oh yeah.
Right, for what it was trying to achieve,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it is like a 9 or a 10 if that's what you're rating it on.
Right.
If you're rating it against the other movies, I
But-
mean...
You know, for it being good at what it is, for it being a 10 out of 10 for what it is, in a general scale where I'm comparing all movies with each other, I would rate it like an 8.5.
Yeah. So mine's probably like a mean of those two. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, Dan, it was fun having you on.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
For all of the Punisher trilogy. I'm sure we'll have you on again down the road.
Oh, yeah.
For something else.
I'm sure I'll be back. Just a quick plug of the Potty Humor Network, where you're listening to these guys. Maybe you found them on their Facebook page. If you did, check us out, facebook.com/pottyhumor, or the official YouTube channel, youtube.com/pottyhumor, where you can find Last Action Zeros and a variety of wonderful podcasts for your listening pleasure.
And coming soon, a revamped website.
Yes, that's right. Pottyhumor.com will be returning very soon.
Yeah. So, Ian, anything you want to plug or anything?
I mean, I'm still doing comedy. If you live in the Chattanooga area and you want to come out to JJ's Bohemia, pretty much every Wednesday night from 7 to 9, it's open mic. So if you are a fledgling comic and you want to try it out, you can do that. If you're you just want to come and enjoy some free entertainment because there's no cover charge. Of course, it's 21 plus. So if you're a youngin', then you got to wait a couple years. But you can see me do some stand up. You can see some other great local comics do some stand up and. Have a couple drinks and just have a fun, inexpensive night out.
Sweet. And I have nothing to plug. So, cool. Until next time.